Shopify grows your business no matter how far or big you grow. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling your fans' next favorite shirt or an exclusive piece of podcast merch, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in.
Welcome to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic. The first law of thermodynamics is energy balance. When it comes to nutrition, it means that if you take in more energy than you burn, you'll gain weight. Burn more than you eat, you'll lose weight. Energy balance is an indisputable scientific fact, but despite how simple the theory is, anyone who's tried to gain or lose weight knows that it's not that simple. We measure energy in the form of calories, or more precisely, kilocalories, and even the scientists whose job it is to measure calories admit there's a lot of imprecision in the way we do it. So what are we supposed to do as runners? We'd like to make sure that we're fueling enough with the right kinds of foods, not too little and not too much. So we use apps and our running watches and even track our calorie burn on the treadmill. What's wrong with that? Let's find out. Welcome to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic, and my mission is to help you improve your running, your mindset, and your life with science-backed training and plant-based nutrition. Today, we are going to explore the complications with counting calories. We'll get into why you're not really eating what you think you are, why you are not burning what you think you are, and most importantly, what we should do about it. If you've been confused about why you're not getting the results from your nutrition that you are aiming for, you're about to find out why. Before we get into the details, I'd like to invite you to run with me in my beautiful hometown this fall. September 12th through 15th, 2024, I will be hosting a 4-day running retreat in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Asheville, North Carolina. We'll stay in luxury cabins right on the French Broad River where we can run right out the door. You'll get run coaching, strength training classes, running gait analysis, and more. And of course, it will feature amazing plant-based food and a little nightlife as well. We had so much fun last year that I cannot wait to do it again. It's perfect for adult runners of all ages, paces, and abilities, and you're bound to meet runners just like you. Spaces are very limited and it's first come, first serve, so sign up today at theplantedrunner.com/retreat. I'll be offering early bird pricing until March 15th, so be sure to take advantage of that as soon as you can. I can't wait to run with you this September. We runners really love numbers. We count miles and pace and our steps. So naturally, many of us are drawn to counting our calories as well, whether that's on paper or on a food tracking app. We want to make sure that we're properly fueling our runs, but we don't want to overdo it and start gaining unnecessary weight. But there's a big problem with counting calories. It's ridiculously inaccurate. Let's explore why. There's two parts of the equation. One is energy in from the food you eat, and the second is energy out from moving around, exercise, and simply being alive. No matter what anyone tells you, losing, gaining, or maintaining weight all boils down to energy in and energy out. The concept is simple. If you want to lose weight, take in less energy than you burn. If you're learning to gain weight, do the opposite. This is just pure physics. So why is this so complicated in real life? The reason is the act of counting your calories is massively flawed. The theory of energy balance is a scientific fact, but unfortunately, no matter how carefully you count your calories, you might not be eating what you think you are. Let's say you're shopping at the grocery store and you pick up a jar of peanut butter. You flip it over to the back and check out the food label. You'll see that a 2-tablespoon serving has 190 calories. So you meticulously measure out 2 perfect tablespoons to smear over your morning toast. Naturally, you think you're getting 190 calories from that peanut butter, right? So you add that into your food tracking app so you can be sure that by the time the day is over, you'll be burning more than you're consuming. But in all likelihood, you didn't get 190 calories from that peanut butter. How can that be? Well, the first problem is that food companies can use one of 5 different methods of computing calories, and in the US, the FDA allows up to 20% margin of error. 20%! So that peanut butter could be 150 calories, or it could be 228 calories. Fresh fruits and veggies can be even further off. There's a big difference in the calorie count of produce at the time it's picked, when it's perhaps a bit underripe, to the point when you actually eat it when the starches have turned to sugars. Factor in all of that, and you could be as much as 50% off. The next issue is that our bodies don't actually absorb all the calories we eat, and some foods absorb better than others. In general, not all the calories from protein are completely absorbed because the body has to use more energy to break it down. By some estimates, up to 30% of the calories you eat from protein are used in the digestive process. Fat and carbohydrates, on the other hand, absorb quickly at a low energy cost. But it's not all about the macronutrients, which are protein, fats, and carbs. Different kinds of foods that have mixed macros can have different absorption rates. Nuts and seeds, for example, are not fully absorbed, and everyone absorbs them at different rates, likely due to differences in our gut bacteria. A 2012 study by the USDA found that the participants absorbed an average of 4.5 calories per gram from 1 ounce of almonds. But this varied from 2 calories per gram to 6 calories per gram for different people. So that 1 ounce portion of almonds may contain just 56 calories for one person and 168 calories for another. Your food tracking app isn't going to help you figure out which one you are. On the other end of the calorie-dense spectrum, fiber-rich foods like leafy greens, legumes, and fruits might actually have a higher absorption rate than previously thought, with an error rate of up to 28%. The third factor in the calorie counting equation is how you prepare your food. A raw potato will have a drastically lower calorie content available to humans than it would have cooked. A potato would cost you only about 100 calories raw, but when you cook it, like most of us do, the calories nearly double. Double. Guess which calorie content is written on the back of the bag of the potatoes? That's right, the raw number. And it's not just cooking that matters. Chopping and blending can change things too. Let's go back to those almonds again. The calories from unroasted whole almonds have 25% fewer calories than the exact same amount of almond butter. Roasted and chopped almonds are somewhere in between. Basically, anytime you do the body's work outside of the body, you are making the food you eat easier for your body to absorb. Cooking, chopping, blending, and mashing all break down cell walls so the body doesn't have to, and those calories can pass virtually straight to your thighs. Just kidding about that part. So that peanut butter that you smeared on your toast earlier will actually have more calories than the equivalent amount of peanuts. And finally, part of the problem with counting calories is that we are really, really bad at eyeballing things. Let's go back to that peanut butter example. Do you really get out the tablespoon and precisely measure your peanut butter? Very few people are that meticulous, some would call that neurotic, to weigh and measure everything they eat. So you eyeball it and scoop some out and say, that kind of looks like 2 tablespoons, but it probably isn't. Studies have shown that people mismeasure things about 2/3 of the time. So you might really be eating 3 tablespoons, but counting only 2. So with all of this room for error in counting the calories you eat, is it really worth it? And I haven't even gotten to talking about all the problems trying to figure out the calories that you're burning. Ready for that part? I'll go over that right after this.
Women's Running Stories, where we explore the intersection between running and life. Because every woman who is committed to a running journey has a story to tell, and this is where you'll find those stories. I am host and producer Cherie Louise Turner. I'm a 53-year-old runner, and together with original music by musician and runner Cormac O'Regan, we bring these inspirational stories to life. Please join us to fuel your adventures.
Sports stars. They're like superheroes.
But they're actually real.
Which is why we've made a podcast about them. You see,
they've all got a story.
But too many of these stories were cut short.
Kobe Bryant,
Payne Stewart,
Flojo,
Phil Hughes,
Justin Fashanu.
We're writing episodes about all of them.
And sadly, many more.
Death of a Sports Star, a new series from Crowd Network.
Welcome back to The Planted Runner. I'm Coach Claire Bartholic. We've just explored some of the flaws of trying to count calories from food. Now let's dive into the issues counting the calories you burn. As we know, the theory of energy balance is a scientific fact. If you burn more energy than you take in, you'll lose weight, and the opposite is true for gaining weight. Where the problem comes in for weight management is that counting those units of energy is far from an exact science. Just like all the inaccuracies in counting the calories you eat, a similar number of issues pop up on the energy burn side. One number that's been tossed around is that the average runner burns 100 calories per mile. Well, are you the average runner? Who is this mythical average runner? Is it a 20-year-old white male college student who signed up for the exercise study for the free food they promised him at the end? Is it the true average of the majority of runners out there, young and old, tall and short, heavy and lean? It's pretty safe to say that I'm not the average, and I bet you're not either. And just how do they figure out how many calories an average person burns while running? Well, there are a few methods, and some of them are more accurate than others. The first one is called direct calorimetry. This involves hermetically sealing the 20-year-old white male college student inside a pressure-controlled isolation chamber and having him run on a treadmill to measure the amount of energy burned. Sounds expensive, right? Well, it is, so it's rarely used, but it is the gold standard, and it only has about a 3 to 4% margin of error. The next method is something called the doubly labeled water method. The 20-year-old white male college student is asked to drink a specially formulated water that includes some medical isotopes that can give scientists an estimation of the metabolic rate and the calories burned. This one is much simpler to administer, but unfortunately has about a 10% margin of error. The third method is the most common, and it's called indirect calorimetry. The scientists have the 20-year-old white male college student run on a treadmill, breathing through a special gas mask that can measure the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. This method is a lot better than the water method, but it can still be up to 4.5% off. Now, I'm joking, of course, a little bit about science only using 20-year-old white male college students as test subjects. I really want to believe that there's equal representation in science of every type of person, of every race, size, fitness level, age, gender, for every single scientific study ever done. You want to believe that too, right? It's wishful thinking, of course. Let's hope the diversity in scientific studies becomes the standard in the future, but I assure you, we are still not there yet. Now, let's talk for a minute about the accuracy of fitness trackers. I bet your running watch would be more than happy to tell you how many calories you burned on your 4-mile run. I'm looking at my Garmin right now, and my easy 4 miles yesterday supposedly burned 335 calories. Sadly, studies of consumer tracking devices have reported that they can be anywhere from 9 to 23% off. So maybe I only burned 260 calories on that run. We'll never know. The next thing to think about is your genes. It's not really surprising that genetics play a role in calorie burn. Some people simply burn a little more than others. Scientists are starting to think that it's not a huge difference and other factors are more important, but some people genetically burn around 150 calories more per day than others. That's not a huge number, but it can really add up over time. Other things that affect your calorie burn are your unique body composition, certain types of food you eat, or lack of sleep. You burn less when sleep deprived. And of course, we women have differing rates of calorie burn depending on the phase of our menstrual cycle, which is one reason it is easier to leave women out of certain scientific studies because our cycles affect the results. We potentially burn anywhere up to 20% more or less energy on different days of the month. There's also science that individuals respond differently to metabolic changes, but everybody's body makes adaptations. In one study, participants were overfed by 1,000 calories per day for 8 weeks. Typical calorie math would say that if a pound is 3,500 calories, that everyone would gain a pound every 3.5 days for a total of 16 pounds. Well, that's not at all what happened. Some people gained less than a pound, and others gained as many as 9 pounds, while no one gained 16 pounds. Why? Because the body adapted to the overfeeding and changed the way it absorbed the calories. Speaking of adaptations, we runners are trying to adapt all the time, aren't we? We're trying to change our bodies to get fitter and get faster. And if we're using running to maintain our weight or lose weight, the rate of energy burn will end up changing as we get leaner and fitter. Let's imagine a beginner runner who's about 20 pounds overweight. As he begins to run, he's not very good at it. Running is hard, his breathing is labored, and the extra weight is making things more difficult. Because he's not an experienced runner, he's very inefficient and has to work very hard. He's burning more energy running for 2 reasons: his inefficiency at running and because it takes more energy to move the extra weight. But as he gets better at running, it becomes easier. He learns how to run more fluidly and his aerobic capacity improves. Breathing is no longer labored and he learned good techniques, perhaps from his favorite podcast and coach. So running is not such a chore. While this is definitely a good thing, more efficiency means fewer calories burned per mile and better runners burn even less. Not only is he getting good at running, but he's inspired to clean up his diet and starts to lose some weight. Now he's carrying around less all the time, and yep, his energy burn all day long starts to drop. So his weight loss starts to plateau. But he's found a new love in running, and he's determined to lose that last 10 pounds. So he restricts his calorie intake even more. What happens now is that his brain decides that he's starving. It goes into panic mode and tells the body to absorb more calories from the food he does eat and holds tighter on to the fat stores he's trying to lose. Then the brain does tricky little things like make him feel more tired when he's not running so that he is subconsciously forced to move less the rest of the day. The couch starts looking better and better. In other words, his daily calorie burn rate for the non-running part of his day goes down. In the case of people who have a history of a higher weight, this slower metabolism might just stay there, which means even if he reaches his ideal weight, he will have to consume fewer calories to stay there than a person who has always been that weight. Now, I'm not telling you all of this to preach doom and gloom. Maintaining a healthy weight is incredibly important to every aspect of your life, and running can be a good part of it. But if you're relying on fitness trackers and calorie counters without understanding their limitations, eventually you'll wonder what you're doing wrong. But now you know, it's not you, it's them. So what does all of this mean if you're trying to optimize your nutrition for running performance or fat loss? Well, to be clear, I am not a weight loss coach, and I'm not trying to be. Weight change is heavily influenced by habits, psychology, trauma, environment, and so much more, and I'm not going to get into all of that today. But if you are trying to figure out the nutrition puzzle, I recommend that you do track your calories and your macros, at least for a little while. Yes, the data you record is not going to be accurate, but at least it will be consistently inaccurate, and you'll get a sense of whether your morning smoothie has 300 calories or 800. You can get a general idea if you're hitting your marks, and then you can stop tracking after a few days and aim to be more mindful of what you're eating, especially around your training. As far as the calories out, running will burn a lot of calories, but unless you go to a lab, you're not going to have an accurate count of what you burn in a mile. Even then, it's a moving target. My advice there is not to count. If you're running for performance, not fat loss, you should be eating enough that you improve or at least maintain your speed and your weight remains pretty stable. Now, after listening to this and understanding all the issues with calorie counting, some runners will choose to keep doing it. For some, tracking has been key to weight loss and it becomes a fun game to play. Others, especially those who lean towards eating disorders, find the practice quickly becomes an unhealthy habit. But if it works for you, go for it, as long as you know you're not really counting what you think you are. And now it's time for the Mental Strength Minute. Fortify your mind in 60 seconds or less. Today's topic is make yourself proud. On a tough run, it gets harder and harder to keep up a high effort. If we slow down or stop, it can be a welcome relief. But later, you know you could have given more. There's always a little more. So use the mantra, make yourself proud. Tell yourself to make yourself proud when you need to squeeze out just a little more effort. Your present self will be struggling, but your future self will be glad you did. Thank you for listening to The Planted Runner, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Don't forget that you can win free access to one of my Sprint Session masterclasses just for writing an Apple Podcast review. So be sure to write yours right after your run today. Reviews are the #1 way to boost this show's reach, and it's a great way to tell me what you'd like to hear next because I read every single one. Have a great run today.
There is no hood like parenthood. When you meet a fellow parent, you just kind of get each other on a whole nother level. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. I interview change makers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, aka their mom sense and dad sense. I've had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton. It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
Episodes release every Thursday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Join my tribe at thatstotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you.